first lead of the day. Jack Trudeau with a 3-yard touchdown pass to Albert Bentley. As the Colts take the lead over the Bengals. Minnesota and Houston have been rolling since the outset. Steve LaR with a 5-yard touchdown run for the Chiefs on their last TD.
See, there's a game you like to see the 2-point play in. You know that? 8 points down. You can't score a touchdown and make a decision to go for it.
And you're talking about Washington, Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Are you going to start lobbying with Art McNally and the rest of the NFL?
Well, when I was in the old AFL, we had the 2-point play. It was exciting. Puts a lot of heat on the coaches, you know.
First and 10 for the Eagles. Minute 38 left. The Raiders with only one timeout remaining. Ball to the 40-yard line. Call Tony's number again. Why not? He stopped the original line, though, for no gain on his 15th carry of the day. Bill Pickell. In for the Raiders, who have just used their final timeout. 61 yards so far for Anthony Tony. Coming up next, many of you will see the Patriots and 49ers at Stanford Stadium. Some of you will also see Denver and Seattle at the Kingdome. And we'd like to remind you this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL is prohibited. And this game is the property of the NFL, the Eagles, and also the Los Angeles Raiders. All rights reserved.
The Eagles are down to only one tight end. They lost David Little on that last play, number 89. Keith Jackson has a sprained ankle. And I believe they're going to bring in number 66, Kenny Reeves, and play him at tight end. And he has to report on every single play. There's Little. We'll see if Reeves lines up at tight end. Yes, he is.
Randall Cunningham has thrown for 64 yards today. Well, there's Reeves, the new tight end due to the injury situation. He has run for 58 yards. They can run out the clock now.
They run on for 57 yards now.
Takes a loss on that one. But that further illustrates the conservative game plan that the Philadelphia Eagles, for the most part, have gone with today against the Los Angeles Raiders. They were wide open, though, the first time we saw them against the Seattle Seahawks in that 31-7 victory.
There's no question about it. And this man here, I mean, this team, Art, your team played a tremendous defensive football game.
Played their hearts out.
And just think about it, until late in the second quarter, or late in the third quarter, where finally the turnovers came. There were 2 turnovers by the offense. And at that time, no points on the board, ended up with 10 against them.
Third down, another snap, another knee to the ground for Randall Cunningham.
Doesn't have to.
That's it. That will be it. Randall Cunningham and the Philadelphia Eagles winning their 3rd straight game to raise their record to 5-2.
Hey, buddy, come back, buddy. There's 20 seconds. Buddy, buddy's gone. He's in the locker room.
I guess he wanted to meet with the opposing head coach.
Yeah, but he's coming to his locker room. He'll meet him in there. Art's looking for him.
Art Shell suffering his first setback as the Raiders head coach after taking over 4 games into the season for Mike Shanahan, but they are on their way back with Art Shell at the controls.
There's no doubt in my mind, and I'm going to tell you something. He's taking his time with his team, and he knows that they are only 2 or 3 players away from being back in the dominant team in the AFC West, or absolutely in football.
The defense, another splendid effort today, Paul. And just think offensively when you've got a Jackson in the backfield, Willie Gault at wide receiver, what they'd be like with Marcus Allen available. He's out for another 2 to 3 weeks. And also Tim Brown, who they lost for the season.
You know, it's an amazing thing, though, if you think about all the Super Bowls, and we've talked about this before, Joel, the teams that go to Super Bowls are defensive football teams. And both of these teams today, the defense has played so very, very well. And if that is together, the offense will come.
In addition to that, most feel that you can't go to the Super Bowl without a running game. And that's why the Philadelphia Eagles really wanted to make that commitment today.
Well, remember that. They didn't have any at all in preseason. They didn't have that much against Seattle when they played them in the first game. And that's the one thing that they really have to work on. There's Cunningham and Shell.
Don't forget, coming up on many of these NBC stations. The Patriots and the 49ers at Stanford Stadium. And also Denver taking on the Seattle Seahawks in the second half of our football doubleheader. So it was a tight affair, a defensive struggle between the Eagles. There's Reggie White. He's got more hurries than anyone else on the defensive front. And now it's time for our MVP, sponsored by Budweiser. Today's most valuable player, Randall Cunningham. Did it on the ground for the most part today. And Budweiser is going to make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of Randall Cunningham, selected as our MVP in today's game. Watched the show on television here last night in Philadelphia. He's really having a lot of fun. He's doing it all.
And I'm going to tell you something. He will not hesitate to run to make something happen in this football team. If the passing game isn't working, he will start the running game himself. And that's the one thing, the Raiders talking to them yesterday, Joel, and the teams that play the Philadelphia Eagles, what they're mostly afraid of is his running ability.
And that's what frustrates most teams. Brilliant coverage downfield, and all of a sudden you see him coming at you with a running lane available.
And again, they timed him. They didn't. They never timed quarterbacks in the 40.
Right.
So he wanted to be timed. He saw everybody else being timed. He said, "I want to be timed." So he runs a 4.5 40. Now that's not too bad. That's kind of team.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. So the Philadelphia Eagles raise their record to 5-2.